Good evening, guys and gals. Good evening. This is Spirit Journey. It is Saturday night. Yep, Saturday night, and I'm in bed with my full-legged furry friends. We had a nice day going out. Had to get some shopping done in the neighborhood. Yeah, I kept it. It wasn't too long. And the time, let's see, it's October 10, 2020, and it's 8:46 p.m. Okay, there goes the clock. Yes, I always appreciate this point in time when it's dark outside, and I love looking at the beautiful lights. I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about an event that happened not too long ago, maybe a half an hour ago. I was just watching some videos and about a young woman, and she shares her born again Christian experience. And after watching the video, um, I started talking out loud. I talk out loud. Like your thoughts, your verbalizing your thoughts, especially if you're indoors and no one else is there. So you just kind of talk out loud to yourself. And an interesting thing happened with my computer. This has happened before, and hopefully I resolved the issue. Well, there's certain things that happens now with this Brave New World system. Uh, Very interesting. And I talked about this before, but it was just really something. It just happened again, so immediate. Um, I said the words. I had my PC on, and it utilizes what's called Cortona. Now with the Apple and Apple products, they have a similar thing, but it's called Cirrus. But it's basically the same thing. It's like AI, artificial intelligence. It listens to what you're saying, and it can respond. Everything about it is pretty much programmed, but it learns. It learns about patterns, and it could anticipate certain things because of patterns. And I guess the algorithms, uh, because it's a software, like I didn't like put in Cortana or Cortana. It's something when the system when you update the software, it puts stuff in, and it puts in that program to um, be able to talk, and it listens. That's the main thing. It listens to everything. So even though you turn on your computer, that thing is turned on until you turn it off. Or hopefully it's the right thing that I turned off. Well, I said that, well, the person who's relaying the born again Christian experience, uh, she had some certain activities in her life that utilize certain um, illicit things to intake that can alter your mind and your body. So I don't even want to say it on this. Now I tried to deactivate it on my phone. I'm using my iPhone right now. So hopefully it worked. I deactivated something. I went to the settings and I turned off something with the series. So hopefully it worked. But still, with this iPhone, I'm not 100% sure. you know, but either way, I want to play it safe. Well, yes, good evening, viewer. Good evening. Yeah, say hello in the chat room if you may. I hope you all are having a good time. Well, so this video I was watching, um, now again, I was just thinking out loud, and this, I said, I think it was 3 words about this particular chemical that this person used. I was just thinking out loud, and I was talking in my normal voice, and immediately it repeated the 3 words I said. Immediately I said the 3 words, and then boom, and it prompted it indicated that the Quotono, or that series was on, and that it repeated those 3 words in writing, and it was big on the screen, and I was like dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded. I felt a little embarrassed, a little, I was very surprised, and I felt a little cheated, because I'm having a private conversation to myself, and I was just responding to the video of the young woman who was sharing their born again Christian experience. And the computer was listening and repeated those 3 words regarding taking certain chemicals, to say it nicely. And this type of phenomenon happened before. I was talking, and the same PC was on, and I think I was actually using my phone. I was talking on my iPhone, and the PC was on, and it heard certain words, and it repeated it. It spoke, it said something, and then boop, on the screen. And then I did a video about it immediately, and I think I took a photo of the screen. Yeah. I did a quick video, and I showed it on, took a video of it, of the screen, the monitor. And it's a horrible feeling, because we're just regular human beings. We live our lives, and again, these computers are our tools, but instead these tools are being used by others, because it took information without permission, and that is what I'm annoyed with. I didn't say like, hey Series, or hi Katona, and then the voice comes on whatever once, that would have been something. But it selected specific words to be activated upon hearing. And this is part of the brave new world phenomenon that's happening. That was written about what's that? 70 years ago, something. I forget exactly, but it was some time ago. I know it's more than 50 years. And it's like it's not prophecy. It is by design. People plan. You have people who are planners. They like to oversee things and they project certain things they want to accomplish, and then they set up a system to make these things happen. I don't like it. I don't like to feel that my thoughts aren't my thoughts. How many other things are being listened to without our knowledge? It's horrible. And again, I didn't do anything wrong, but still, if the computer, I doubt that the computer, if it has to always be on for it to pick it up. It can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to be off," but then if these type of words appear, then I come on. For it to know that those words appear means it has to be listening, and that's what I'm talking about. Our computers are listening to us, are listening to our conversation. And I'm wondering, even if we think that it's off, that we turn off the computers, is it still really on? I know with the smart TVs, it has like an off button, but it's not actually off. And for it to be completely off, you I think you have to pull out the plug or something like this. Something about it. But a lot of people, they like their TVs to come on immediately. So we have to just be aware. If we know, then we could make changes. And so with my PC in the other room, I did turn it off. I didn't pull out the plug, but maybe I might be doing this in the future. And I changed the settings to turn off this Cortana, whatever I pronounce it. And I did the same thing. Hopefully, I did it correctly with this iPhone, but I'm not. I'm just hoping that I did it correctly. Um, but it's very concerning. Our world is changing, and it is becoming more and more invasive. Why? Why do you need to know any of our business? Why can't people just mind their own business, mind their own affairs? But see, they want to get into your affairs. So, this I find very, very problematic. So, yes, if you're going to use your device, turn off those functions. Turn off the mic if you can, especially the desktop. Turn off, because sometimes we might just have a device on, but we're not using it. Well, it's listening. If you got a PC, it's listening. I better check my Mac also, my desktop Mac, and turn off that. I don't want, I like my privacy. Um, I also have, what do you call it? Well, um, the PC in question, I do have what do you call it, like a camcorder. I'm wondering if I just pull out the camcorder. I mean, I've done that before, and I had a user briefly for something. I want things to be able to work right away. And so I have to remember to to plug it back on the camera if I do decide to use it with the mic on. Um, I don't know. Well, I deactivated it and I'm hoping that it stays deactivated. So that's something else to consider. When the computer updates, it might change the settings and puts it to the default. And the default is eavesdropping. That's what I'm worried about. And that is possibly storing everything you say. And that could be used against you. It could take things out of context, just like with what happened today. I was just thinking out loud about the videos watching, and I had to be silent for a few seconds because of, whoa, what's going on here? So, but yeah, so that out the way. I guess the first suggestion is advice to be careful what you say because this Cortana or series is always on and it could be stored, that data, and then used against you and put out of context. Okay, so I thought that was important to share. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual video. This is going to be more controversial, and I want to be very, very careful about what I want to talk about. Uh, I, wow, it's something. I want to talk about religion. And I live in the US, and the dominant religion that's practiced here, or nominally, is Christianity. The what do you call it, Judeo-Christian, Abrahamic religions. Uh, this young woman, well, I used to be a Christian. I was into Christianity I could have been 20 or 21 when I was introduced to it. I mean, I've always heard of Christianity, but our family wasn't a practicing one. And a family member introduced it to me, and he was introduced it by his girl he was dating at the time. And my life wasn't going the best. And I like to do something being able to help me, especially when you feel vulnerable and you're female and you know there are a lot of things that could happen to you. I said, why not? And since it was so mainstream Christianity, I really didn't think anything of it. I think initially my apprehension with Christianity is the slave trade that happened in the Americas that was done by Abrahamic um, faiths. Oh, sorry. So I would say that was my initial apprehension with Christianity. Then I said, oh, let me try it. I think what I liked about it, it's the what I read into the four Gospels of Jesus Christ, the Christ. He's a nice guy. So why not? Everybody wants to believe in something, especially something that's kind and generous and supposed to be protective. So that's basically why I went along with it. So as for this video now, The person, I've never seen her on YouTube before. She looks like someone who's in their 20s. Very, very attractive woman. Flawless complexion. Very pretty. Very exotic eyes. And so you feel drawn to what her story is. She had no makeup on and she was just exquisite. And she shares her story. She wasn't raised in a religious home. She was intelligent. She liked to party. And she graduated from undergraduate, then graduate school. And she lived briefly for maybe 5 or 6 months with a male Christian friend, if I understood right. And she couldn't find work in her field. And she meets a man, an older, much older man. And to make a long story short, she couldn't find work. And he said, "Why is a girl like you? You're real pretty and everything, and you have college." And hey, gave her he gave her a an offer that she couldn't refuse at the time. It was an agreement made, financial agreement made, and what she had to do in return. So she says yes. She did this for about 5 or 6 months, and she was very frank about it. I mean, she was crying at times, and you just feel compelled, the story. Uh, she also was she knew about what they call the law of attraction. A family member gave her a book on that, and so she studied it, and she started meeting other people who were getting into metaphysics and the New Age, crystals, and all that. And she started to feel guilty about basically, if a woman who engaged in sexual activity for financial, benefits, you know what that's called. They just use the term sugar daddy. But it made her feel guilty, and she felt that everybody knew what she was because the man was so much older than her, and she's a young girl. It's obvious what the deal was. So after about 5 or 6 months, she leaves that relationship. And unfortunately, she falls into another type of relationship like that. Again, the girl is very pretty, and a lot of guys like, older men like her. And I would say that when you're hungry, so to speak, um, people could pick that up and exploit it. And I think that's what happened to her. Um, so she gets another opportunity. Someone who she meets, it could have been an acquaintance. I forget if it was an acquaintance or a new person, but either way, the person said, "Hey, you should come with us to Hawaii. We got this is a job opportunity," and she sensed that it was a BS type of thing. But she wanted to leave. She wanted something new with her life. She felt guilty about the older man that she was involved with, and she felt shame. And hey, let me get out of here. So she goes, and she pretty much parties. She never really mentioned about the work there, um, but she met up with several people when she went to Hawaii, and they were people into metaphysical studies, tarot cards, all the occult. and she was getting more and more involved. And then that also she I think she did alcohol. I know at some point she did alcohol. She felt her life was getting out of control, and with that feeling of being out of control, I think she met up with another guy. Yeah. Oh, okay. Because I don't think money wasn't flowing in. There's some money issues, and she fell back on what was easy for her, and what was easy for her is to compromise herself sexually and have a man with money to be the sugar daddy. Uh, but her life, she felt she started to feel out of control. She started drinking more and smoking cigarettes. And then there was a point in her life, oh, she gets in an accident. She was relatively new on the island. Within 3 months, she was something with the hood of the car. The hood of the car fell on her head, and she did suffer a concussion. And the so called friend that she's living with, who had the car, she just looked like she had gone to sleep that same evening, and she started to get symptoms. And the symptoms sound like she had a concussion. So she said, "Wow, I think I have a concussion. Let me call the roommate to send her to the hospital." And the so-called friend, "Oh, I don't have enough gas." So again, all these, you know, it sounds like um, these so-called friends were not friends. These are people who seem to me um, people who are of the moment. They just want to do things that make them feel good. And it also reminds me of when I went away for college briefly, and a similar thing type of happened. Um, Here we're all students. We all know of each other in the dorm building, and my roommate at the time needed to go to the hospital, and so we asked one of the people that lived there, uh, could he send us to the hospital? And the person said no. And I'm thinking, wow, I remembered that. And there's no real reason why there's a no. I had $20, and so I and the other roomies, we all went together with the girl that needed to go to the hospital. Well, she felt she needed to go to the hospital. So, I pay it and we all go together. And we came back. And the girl's father thanked me. And I think he might have paid me. He at least thanked me from the heart. Yeah, but nice guy. And the girl's fine. I like the girl. I mean, the girl was a cool girl. She was my best roommate that I ever had. We were from different worlds, um, but we got along. We respect each other's space. She was the best roommate. Yeah, different race, different religion than me, but she was my best roommate, and I still remember her name. But it just showed me how people are, and how selfish people could be if you're not in the inner circle. The girl was a nice girl. She was kind of, she real hang low loose, so-called liberal type, but very likable. But the other girl, I guess, didn't like her, whatever. but I thought it was very um, telling. And so it just kind of, I guess I'm just mentioning that because it's reminding me of the sentiment of people that um, it's some problems are not so much um, something spiritual. It's who you with. Who are you with? Are you with selfish people? Are you with people who are just about, I want to manifest because I want? And the woman's moral compass. Now, she initially, again, I'm saying these things. I'm not here to attack her, but it was just things that that I started thinking about in in analysis of what happened to the girl and how people may attribute certain things and give um, what's that word, to say that something else resolved the problem when maybe it's really not. But either way, she the young woman made choices, and it had to also do with her character because initially, she graduates from with her graduate degree, and because she couldn't find a job in her career, but she had a roommate. She had a Christian roommate. Guy liked her. It seemed just very platonic, and she slept on the sofa. So I just assumed when she worded like that the guy is sleeping elsewhere. She was like a roommate, an extra person there. And the person never made mention if they had to pay rent there. It didn't seem to be any something economical. It's just she was there. So I didn't know what was pressuring her to make a decision to um, get the sugar daddy. But again, it's something that she chose for herself. Um, let's see what else. The people that she was with, she did made mention that when they learned more about metaphysics, that they started to look down on others being lowly. So it seems like, the more knowledge that we think we have, or more knowledge or awareness, it can go to your head. Definitely. Definitely. And I include myself in that as well. So that's my little doggy. Okay. So, so I'm thinking about the girl and her life. I didn't understand to the extent why her life just seemed to be crumbling. Because again, I know what it's like to be in a financial crunch. See, that was the initial thing. She had the initial roommate. He wasn't pressuring her for anything, money or anything like that. She's frustrated because she graduated with her master's and can't find a job in her field. It sounds very familiar. It sounds like me. um, and then the older gentleman gives her a proposition. Um, so I understand about money and the fear of not being able to support yourself. Uh, I guess my confusion is the because of the roommate. And you don't hear anything that he was having any financial difficulties, and um, I don't know. It was just a little confusing for me. So her life started spiraling downward. She said, at least emotionally. A big component to her life spiraling downward is drugs. She was doing alcohol, and it could, and I think she also started to do, smoking. She smoked about a pack every 2 days, a pack of cigarettes. And it could have been other stuff too, but at least that's what she admitted to doing. Yes, when you do alcohol, that affects your mind and your body, and smoking, that makes you, uh, it has a chemical addiction to it, so that's going to change your behavior. But outside of that, what was really pressing her to feel depressed, she even thought about committing suicide, she said. And I know that, the other things that, yeah, her second sugar daddy, uh, she decides for the second one, when it was really understood what he wanted, she said, I'm not going to do that. So she doesn't go out with him. But I'm trying to analyze why, what was the, like, I couldn't really initially find out, understand what was her dilemma. Was it just something simply financial? And again, I know what it's like. And it's interesting. She lived in Hawaii. And I had lived in Hawaii too. And I was in an economic crunch. So I know about fear. So I know about fear. I know what it's like you're living from check to check and how to help yourself. And then living around people or working with people who want to hurt you financially. And it can make you edgy. She did seem to have what seemed to be a support system. She knew of people. She was very popular. She liked to party. So it was hard to understand why the emotional dilemma that she was faced with. And I think of it in terms of myself when I lived in Hawaii and some of the experience I felt. One thing with me, I did not do alcohol or drugs because I knew I learned early, and I'm not saying I'm a goody two shoes, but I'm just saying I knew for me, I learned at an early age when a woman does alcohol and or drugs, she's a candidate for rape. And because of that, I never did it then. I was never into drugs. Um, I do I have tasted alcohol before, and but I'm not. It's I don't have a dependency on it. I learned early on what alcohol could do to you, and so I avoided any form of abuse. I saw it firsthand, and so I knew I didn't want that. Um, so her life is in a spiral going downward, and I think she contacts her mom, and her mother was nice and uh, bought a plane ticket for her to return home, and she I think met up with the initial Christian fellow, and she decides then, because her life is going nowhere, so she decides to take her, to accept this Christian religion. I think about myself. I wasn't raised in religion, and I was in my 20s when I accepted it. I think the point of this video, it's really about, like, the point of the video, the young girl is saying, her life doesn't go nowhere. Uh, she asked for God, Jesus in her life, but she doesn't explain how her life changed by just saying that. So not gonna say, okay, uh, you accept something, and let's say a church sponsors you, or the Christian guy allows you to come back to live with him until you can get on your feet, so to explain the transition, because her problem that caused the whole problem was the lack of a job and income. And then what made things worse was her cigarette and alcohol dependency. So I would have liked to have known how she actually, how accepting Christianity, how metaphysically did it change her life? And why did it change her life? And I'm thinking, if there is this Jesus character, and they heard her when she was in misery and crying and had the head injury, why didn't he intercept then in her life? You know that the type of heart she has, and that she would probably receive the Gospels with open arms. But that's not the case. So what I'm getting now is, see, she in faith said, "Oh, this religion and this so-called God or spiritual being was what saved her. Saved her from what? And if anybody can save you from economic hardship, does that mean that you have to worship them as God? There are people who exploit their wealth and want you to worship them if they sponsor you. It could be a rich boyfriend. Hey, you better do that. Just like what happened to the girl. There was an initial agreement. Okay, you let me do this to you, and I'll do that for you. So how do we know? How does this girl know what helped her? And again, she never says how she got helped and what you were saved from. Was she saved from economic hardship? Now, I met people growing up who were born into Christianity and were what we call religious people. Basically, a goodly person. They're hardworking, and they claim Christianity. How is it that the act of believing and saying, I believe what this book says, how does that transform your life? How do you describe this metaphysically? Does not God not, what's the word, have perceptions of what, that someone's in distress, emotional distress, financial distress, health distress? And then when something good happens, automatically we attribute any success by this Bible. And that I have a problem with right now. What if you were born in the Islamic world and you have how to say, you encounter what you encounter. What will prevent you from not saying, well, okay, let's say you're in an Islamic country, and say, oh, that this God Allah helped me and I'm going to follow him. Shouldn't we know definitively if something attributed to our overcoming or success? But we take for granted any little thing, any little thing. And we'll say and make up how this entity is attributed to anything that's positive in our lives. But what about ourselves? We also can manifest things in our lives. Just like if you could allow something to happen, we can also allow things not to happen. So I don't know what the deal is. I really don't know. She seemed like a really nice person. I wouldn't doubt that. Um, but I have second thoughts about attributing anything positive for this entity. We're saying thank you to someone, and it may not be that person. It may not be. And so that's the real issue. Is this really Christianity? Say, oh, something happened in my life. Oh, let's attribute to this God. What did Jesus really say he was? He had a relationship. But we're saying, no, we're Christians, I mean, we have a relationship with Jesus. What about our relationship directly to the Father? Why isn't that stress? Why are we taught we have to communicate with the Jesus who told us, at least according to Scripture, that they're moving away? So how could he hear you if he's moving away? And then he's supposed to be coming back. So what is it? This is a real dilemma. And is it really spiritual to say, I believe in such and such. Any good thing that hits my way, I'm going to attribute it to this system. It could be like a system that, like head coverings. This head covering that you start to acquire different types of dress, and anything that happens during this course of this transformation is attributed to something else, and we just lap it up. I really don't know what to think. Yeah, it sounds spiritual. Anything good that happened, that's just attributed to this person here. And I had certain experiences in my life of metaphysical influence, and it's hard to reactivate a particular event. Let's say you had a supernatural experience and you want to repeat it again, and it's hard to achieve. So I don't know. I don't know about all this. People I know that was raised in the Bible, and they could have adversity against you. So I think it's just very important that when we say thank you, we're saying thank you to the right being. If someone didn't attribute anything to something to, and then to say, well, because they were riding on the, you know, back of a truck, it doesn't matter what vehicle. It doesn't matter whether they're in what do you call it, social distancing, and they meet someone, and then something good happens, and oh, something good happens. We have to blame X, Y, and Z, whether good or bad. I don't know about all this. I don't know. I mean, tell me what you think. You think if something you get exposed to something that all of them, all the people who felt that they had something happen to them that they have to attribute to this Jesus. What if you lived in India where it's Islamic? I mean, Hindu. There's so many different things that could happen. So, yeah, that's basically my thought. Again, she seemed like a really lovely girl, and she was brave enough to share her story. And I do not judge her, but I am thinking about how we attribute anything positive is attributed to this person that was born, that had a physical component to him, that was killed. So that's basically it. I don't know what else to say, and it's getting late. So I thank you all for listening. And again, whatever what your belief system is, embrace it and enjoy it while it lasts. Live in peace. Yeah. So I'm just about to sign off. And yes, we're gonna we're gonna we're taught to give any type of challenge that happens, and we attribute it to this character in the Bible. What if it was somebody else? I don't know. So that's all that I'm going to share this evening. I appreciate you all listening. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can just write it down below in the comment section, and share this video with friends, family members. And yeah, thank you again. Signing off. Enjoy your evening, and start asking yourself questions. Like in this brave new world, what I mentioned about the, what was that person? Oh, I forget what they were, I forget now what they were saying. But yeah, just be careful. But this brave new world system, people are making deals with others, even people who may belong to the church, and compromise its members. Yeah, be careful. Think ahead, and be aware. So I thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Okay? Peace, love, and joy to you all. Take care, and best wishes to you. Bye bye.